Welcome to a deep dive into the shadows of history, where violence, ritual, and coded patterns intertwine. Today, we explore the investigative findings of John Simon, who connects the use of napalm and other weapons to ritualistic acts and statistical codes. This journey will take us from the Salem witch trials to modern conflicts, examining how systemic abuse and violence have been justified and repeated. We'll look at the chilling connections between historical events, secret societies, and the use of petroleum-based weapons, and ask, are these patterns mere coincidence, or is there a deeper code at play? Throughout history, societies have used violence as a tool for control and ritual. From the burning of women and children accused of witchcraft in Salem to the horrors of the colonial and civil wars, the act of burning people alive has been justified by those in power. These acts were not isolated. They were part of a broader pattern of targeting those deemed outsiders or of poor breeding stock. The echoes of these atrocities can be found in more recent conflicts, where similar justifications are used to inflict suffering on marginalized groups. The pattern of targeting those considered other continues into the present day. In Palestine, children and families face violence and displacement, often justified by ideological differences. The suffering of Palestinian people is a stark reminder that the mechanisms of systemic abuse have not disappeared, they have simply evolved. The use of advanced weaponry and the rhetoric surrounding these conflicts echo the justifications of the past, raising questions about the true motives behind such actions. Napalm, a petroleum-based weapon, has become infamous for its devastating effects on both people and the environment. Its use in conflicts like the Vietnam War left lasting scars, both physical and psychological. But beyond its immediate impact, napalm has also been linked to ritualistic patterns of violence, where the act of burning becomes symbolic as well as practical. The question arises, is there a deeper meaning behind the choice of such weapons, or are they simply tools of war? Destructive power of napalm has not been limited to human targets. Its use has extended to both biotic, or living, and abiotic, or non-living, organisms. From the burning of whales and sails to the destruction of drill and rig platforms, the reach of petroleum-based weapons is vast. This broad application raises questions about the intent behind such actions. Are they purely strategic, or do they serve a symbolic purpose as well? Emiliano Zapata Salazar, a key figure in the Mexican Revolution, became a symbol of resistance and change. Born in 1879 and assassinated in 1919, Zapata's legacy lived on, inspiring movements and even secret societies. His story is not just one of rebellion, but also of how historical figures can be transformed into symbols, used by others to further their own agendas. The formation of the Zapata Petroleum Corporation, with ties to future U.S. President George H.W. Bush, is a testament to how revolutionary legacies can be repurposed in unexpected ways. Zapata Petroleum Corporation, founded in 1953, marked a shift from revolutionary ideals to corporate interests. With figures like George H.W. Bush involved, the company's evolution mirrored broader trends in American business and politics. Over time, Zapata became Harbinger Group Inc., and later HRG Group Inc., before dissolving in 2018. This transformation reflects how symbols of resistance can be co-opted by powerful interests, raising questions about the true nature of progress and change. Numbers and dates often hold more meaning than meets the eye. In this investigation, statistical codes are used to draw connections between seemingly unrelated events. For example, the years of the Mexican Revolution, 1910 and 1920, are combined to reference 9/11/01, linking past and present through numerical patterns. These codes serve as markers, suggesting a hidden logic or intent behind historical events. Are these connections real, or are they the result of pattern-seeking and chaos? Murder of Elizabeth Short, known as the Black Dahlia, and the iconic image of Fan Thai Phuc, the Napalm Girl, are linked through statistical markers and visual parallels. Both cases involve young women subjected to extreme violence, their images becoming symbols of suffering and controversy. The investigation raises unsettling questions. Were these images staged or manipulated for a deeper purpose? What role do such images play in shaping public perception and historical memory? Photographs have the power to shape narratives and influence public opinion. The images of Elizabeth Short and the Napalm Girl are more than just records of tragedy. They are tools used to evoke emotion and drive agendas. By analyzing the context and timing of these images, we can begin to understand how visual media is used to reinforce certain narratives and obscure others. The question remains, who benefits from the circulation of such powerful images? Use of petroleum-based weapons like napalm is not just a matter of technology, it's also about timing and symbolism. By examining the dates of major napalm attacks and their statistical relationships to other historical events, investigators suggest a hidden code at work. For example, the Trang Bang napalm attack in 1972 is linked numerically to the assassination of Zapata and the Bush-Gore election, among others. These patterns invite us to question whether history is being guided by chance or by a deliberate hand. One of the most persistent patterns in this investigation is the recurrence of the numbers 9-11-01. Whether through date calculations or reinterpretations of statistical sums, this code appears again and again, linking events as diverse as the Mexican Revolution, the Vietnam War, and the September 11th attacks. The repetition of this code raises the possibility of a hidden agenda, where historical events are orchestrated to align with symbolic numbers. Operation Linebacker, a major bombing campaign during the Vietnam War, is another focal point for statistical analysis. By comparing the dates of these operations to other significant events, investigators find recurring patterns that point to the code of 9/11. The suggestion is that these military actions were not only strategic, but also symbolic, serving as markers for future events. This approach challenges conventional understandings of history, inviting us to look for meaning in the margins. Involvement of the Bush family in the Zapata Petroleum Corporation adds another layer to the investigation. As political and business leaders, their actions and affiliations have had far-reaching consequences. The statistical connections between the Bush family, major historical events, and the use of petroleum-based weapons suggest a web of influence that extends beyond simple coincidence. This raises important questions about the intersection of power, business, and violence. In this narrative, victims of violence are not just casualties. They become markers in a larger code. Whether it's the victims of napalm attacks, the September 11th attacks, or individuals like John Simon, their suffering is woven into a pattern that serves a hidden purpose. This perspective challenges us to rethink the meaning of victimhood and the ways in which personal tragedy can be co-opted for broader agendas. Secret societies have long been rumored to influence the course of history. In this investigation, groups associated with figures like Emiliano Zapata are linked to the creation of powerful corporations and the orchestration of major events. The secrecy surrounding these organizations makes it difficult to separate fact from fiction, but their alleged involvement adds a layer of intrigue to the narrative. Are these societies truly pulling the strings, or are they convenient scapegoats for complex events? Beyond physical violence, psychological warfare plays a crucial role in shaping societies. The use of fear, propaganda, and misinformation can be just as damaging as bombs and bullets. In this context, the manipulation of statistics, images, and narratives becomes a weapon in its own right. Understanding the psychological dimension of these patterns is essential for grasping the full scope of the investigation. John Simon, the author of this investigation, positions himself as a scapegoat, a person used as a marker and target for systemic abuse. His experiences are presented as part of a larger pattern, where individuals are singled out to serve as symbols or warnings. This personal narrative adds a human dimension to the investigation, reminding us that behind every statistic is a real person with hopes, fears, and pain. Report suggests that there has been a hostile takeover of truth itself, with lies and misinformation becoming part of daily life. This extends to community, church, state, and even education, where the pursuit of self and happiness is undermined by those in power. The manipulation of written documents and the disregard for rights and privileges are seen as acts of treason against the very foundation of society. The patterns identified in this investigation are not limited to times of war. Even in periods of peace, the same mechanisms of control and manipulation persist. Whether through economic policies, social engineering, or cultural narratives, the tools of power remain the same. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward breaking the cycle and reclaiming agency over our own lives. One of the most intriguing aspects of this investigation is the idea of a fluctuating code, a set of numbers and patterns that change over time but remain connected. By tracking these fluctuations, investigators attempt to predict future events and understand the logic behind past actions. This approach blurs the line between history and prophecy, inviting us to consider the possibility of a hidden order beneath the chaos. Education is often seen as a tool for empowerment, but it can also be used to reinforce existing power structures. The report highlights how lies and misinformation can permeate schools and parent-teacher associations, shaping the beliefs and behaviors of future generations. By questioning what we are taught and who benefits from certain narratives, we can begin to challenge the status quo. Interplay between community, church, and state is a recurring theme in the report. Each institution has the potential to uplift or oppress, depending on who holds power and how it is exercised. By examining the ways in which these institutions interact, we can better understand the forces that shape our lives and the challenges we face in seeking justice and truth. At its core, the investigation is about the pursuit of happiness, the right to live freely and authentically. This pursuit is often threatened by those who seek to control or exploit others. By recognizing the patterns of abuse and manipulation, we can begin to reclaim our agency and work toward a more just and equitable society. Lies, both big and small, have become a part of daily life for many. Whether in politics, media, or personal relationships, The normalization of dishonesty erodes trust and undermines the fabric of society. The report calls attention to the dangers of accepting lies as the norm and urges us to seek truth, even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. Manipulation of written documents and legal texts is a powerful tool for those seeking to consolidate power. By altering or disregarding the written word, individuals and institutions can undermine rights and privileges that are supposed to be protected. This assault on the written word is seen as an act of treason against the very foundations of society. The cycle of suffering described in the report is not inevitable. By recognizing the patterns that perpetuate violence and abuse, we can begin to break free from them. This requires courage, critical thinking, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. Only by facing the darkness can we hope to create a brighter future. Despite the challenges outlined in the investigation, there is always room for resistance and agency. Individuals and communities have the power to challenge injustice, expose hidden patterns, and demand accountability. By working together and supporting one another, we can begin to dismantle the systems that perpetuate violence and oppression. The investigation ultimately calls for critical thinking and skepticism. By questioning official narratives, examining patterns, and seeking out alternative perspectives, we can become more informed and empowered citizens. The search for truth is ongoing, and it requires vigilance, curiosity, and a commitment to justice. As we conclude this exploration, we are left with more questions than answers. The patterns identified in the report challenge us to rethink our understanding of history, power, and agency. Whether or not we accept the existence of a hidden code, the importance of vigilance and critical inquiry remains clear. By staying alert to patterns and questioning the status quo, we can work toward a future where justice and truth prevail.